I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. Um, Obviously excited about this past Saturday. Thought our players went out there and found a way to make it happen. They, played 4 quarters, and that was our goal. It wasn't always perfect. There's a lot we can do better, but I was proud of them. I was proud of their effort. I was proud of their intensity, and the most important, I was proud of their togetherness. The fact that they kept pushing each other and having each other's back, and we knew playing a great Oklahoma State team that had just beat the number 6 team in the country, it was going to take everybody, and I thought it did. So we'll quickly move on to, in our minds, hopefully, to Iowa State, a tremendous challenge, and it'll be our 4th-ranked opponent on the road, and hopefully we can learn the lessons from Oklahoma and Texas and West Virginia and go out and play against a team that I have the utmost respect for with the way they play. They are tough, they're hardworking, they're competitive. Their coach Matt Campbell's a winner, and it'll be a real challenge. So we'll get in there today. We'll correct the mistakes from Saturday. We'll celebrate the accomplishment, and then we'll start working today to play well on Saturday.
Matt, does it bring an extra level of excitement knowing y'all will become bowl eligible if you win that game?
Those things might be for the players. I'm so probably simple with the way I look at it. My thought is if we ever take it away from just blocking and tackling, if we ever start concentrating on external things, then we won't be ready for really what's in front of us. I mean, there's such a good football team that we're facing that if we're thinking about, hey, December or January, we'd probably miss this Saturday, and so it's a tough place to play. I've never been there, obviously, but talking to the players and talking to people. So I just think our minds have to be so totally focused on just what we have to get done. I mean, this defense we're going to face is 1 or 2 in every defensive category. And great defensive players who get off blocks, who play hard and play physical, and a really complicated defensive scheme. They've added so much to what they do from last year, and they're giving people fits. And so, and then defensively for us, one of the preeminent backs in the league, Hakeem Butler he's just dominating people right now at wide receiver, and the quarterbacks added a whole new level of energy to their offense. So. I hope we just stay really, really focused on us and playing and knowing that if we do that, we'll always give ourselves a chance to hang in there till the 4th quarter, try to make one more play than the other team. And if you do that enough, at the end of the year, you look up and hopefully you go to a bowl and get all the fun things you get, at the end of the season.
We talked to Charlie after the game, and he used the word poisonous to start thinking about bowl games at this point. How encouraging is that to hear that stuff coming from your players going into this week?
Well, yeah, and I hope it's our mindset because, again, anytime you worry about something else other than the task at hand, it is poisonous, right? So the key for this game is to forget about what happened, forget about what's ahead, and just focus on what's next. So, I mean, there's what's next, that's all I ever say, And those instances are everywhere in the game. I mean, Denzel Mims, the last play that Denzel played, J-Mo, he did what? He caught the touchdown. That's almost right. I'm calling you because I know I can trust you. He also was the guy who made the tackle on their Hail Mary. And so, what a lesson I get a chance to teach our players today. Denzel is sitting out there, and he makes a touchdown catch. Now, Coach Snow said, Joey McGuire helped me. He couldn't find his helmet. He was in a dog pile, but we got him out there. And, he made the tackle to win the game. So we put him out there to knock the Hail Mary down. And so life is always about what's next, what's the next thing in front of us. And so, even as I met with players, I tried to meet with players yesterday, I try to meet with players today, one guy at a time, getting them to understand that, life is always about learning from what happened, good, bad, and different. And we're the same team that lost to West Virginia, the same exact football team. And so, we played a better game, but we're the same team, and the mistakes are still all over the film. And so if we start thinking about December and January, man, we're going to get punched in the face on Saturday. So I think we just have to stay focused on what's next, which started with last week was the hardest week of practice. And that wasn't because of the coaches, that was because of the players. They practiced and prepared at such a high level last week and then played probably our best football game that if we do that again, hopefully we'll have a chance.
Matt, there were several times on Saturday where guys got shaken up a little bit and, trainer comes out, they come off, and maybe they came back into the game. I think Clay did that. Maybe there were others. Overall, it seemed like there are fewer injuries this year than last year, which would not be hard to do. But
Right.
do you feel like y'all are getting tougher, able to withstand the pounding a little bit better?
Yeah, and they're getting mentally tougher. they're allowing themselves. They've given in. They've given into the process, and they're letting themselves practice that way. So once it becomes a habit, it can become a way of life. But also they're stronger, and Jeremy Scott's done an amazing job, and his staff. Andrew Altoff, he comes in to me every day with player numbers and loads and practices. Dave Snyder and our training staff and our doctors. I just think they just keep taking things to the next level in terms of all the things we provide, massage, chiropractic work, all these things, because this takes a toll on your body. And then, Clay Johnson's father, Kent, came and joined us, and he's a return to play specialist for our players. And so, it used to be when I played, once the trainer said you're good, you went back out there. Well, there's a whole other level to it, right? And once they're medically ready, but maybe not ready to go in the game, he helps transition them to be game ready. And so I think it's maturity. I think it's a lot of different things. And, we instruct guys if they're hurt to not run. Like James Lynch ran off the field one play because he was too proud to lay down probably, or just didn't even think about it. We almost played with 10 guys. And so if you're banged up, lay on the ground. And, we were sore. That was a lot of plays. That was 90 plays of defense. And we were sore on Sunday. But, you're going to look at practice today, and Clay will be out there, and Kalen will be out there, and all those guys that were dinged up, they'll be out there. They all found a way to get back in.
Matt, you mentioned Brock Purdy. Their offense has really taken off since he became the QB. What does he bring them?
Well, he's got a sensational arm. You watch them versus Oklahoma State, a ton of contested catches, and he put the ball right on the money. But he's also extremely athletic. And so they've now added a quarterback zone read run game to it, which always adds another element, right? Even on this past Saturday, the ability of Cornelius to run the ball always presented an extra element. So the moment doesn't seem too big for him. He's out there. He reminds me of Charlie last year. Just goes out and plays, and they have such a good scheme. They take advantage of their weapons. They're physical. They use body blows, but he also now adds an athletic element.
Matt, in terms of keeping them level-headed, the fact that it wasn't a perfect game, the fact that there were mistakes, you didn't score does that help in terms of maybe preparing them for this next game, because it wasn't a perfect game?
Yeah, after you win or after you lose, the truth is always in there. Yeah, so we try to handle them all the same. We try to go back and watch the film and see what we did well, see what we can do better, and eventually, what you hope is that players become addicted to that. They don't want to just feel happy. We were happy after the game, but that they want to become elite, that they want to become the best version of themselves that they can be. And if you don't do that, then you're a front runner, and that to me is what makes Iowa State so good, is they're not front runners. They battle. And so for us to be down and going into the fourth quarter and find a way to win, we weren't front runners on Saturday. Now, what are we going to be today? We'll find out, right? What will we be all week? But I think our team so respects Iowa State, and the way the schedule's worked out is we've prepared for all these other teams. We've watched Iowa State play. So our kids on offense have been watching Hakeem Butler jump up and make these unbelievable catches all year. So I think our team knows, hey, this is a big time top 25 team we're going to play. And we can just look back to last year. It's 10-10. We have the ball at the end of the half, and we're driving down, and we hit an over route. It's going to be first and 10 at the 40, and penalty brings it back. We punt 3 plays later. They score and turn the ball over twice in the red zone. So we know that we have to play our best game to play with these guys.
Coach, James Lynch's family comes to every game, and his mom is in the stands cheering really loud. She screams at the top of her lungs. Have you heard her during the games, and how important is it for the players' parents to be there and support the team throughout the season?
I have that double headset on, so I don't think I could hear anything. I started doing that at Temple because the fans would let me know what they thought of me. It's way easier to concentrate. But my wife, she actually said, I think it was what game? It was West Virginia. She said to me, because Julie sits in the stands with my family, with the visiting parents. I remember her saying that Mrs. Lynch, just the entire game, just cheers and how positive she is, and so. Because my son's sort of the same way, and so Julie was like, it's just how fun it was to watch, Mrs. Lynch, and she's a wonderful woman, and so is James's dad. He comes from a great family.
As you continue to work through this redshirt rule, with the possibility of having another game out there with being the bowl game, does that change how you approach playing guys down the stretch here?
Yeah, we keep a running tally. Excuse me. It's like a spreadsheet. Guys in red, have used all their games. Guys in white have it. Guys in yellow are at 4. So, we're keeping active track on it, right? So, what we wanted to do is, as we came down the stretch, try to get guys in the last 4 games or as needed. So a lot of guys played their first game on Saturday. Now, it might be a play here, a play there. Braylon Taylor played on some special teams, and we had a play designed for him in the red zone. They double covered him, so we went outside. Mark Milton played. Gary got in for 2 plays. We tried to run a trick play with him and then carried the ball once, and probably others. So, we've kind of down the stretch said, hey, we're going to try to get to these last 5 games. And really what I would love to do is find a way to win these games, go to a bowl game, and play a lot of our young guys at the bowl game. Because that bowl practice and bowl prep is a lot different when you know you're going to play in the game. And so we're kind of keeping guys at 4. Guys like Jared Atkinson, he played the first 4. We're redshirting him. Guys like Graylin Arnold, he's played 4. He's banged up. If he's not back, we'll just redshirt him. So it's kind of a day-to-day living, breathing organism. Right up until Xavier Newman had played 4 games, right up until warm-up. I'm watching him to see is he going to is he healthy, and he told me he wasn't redshirting anyway. So he's like, I'm playing. But I told him only if he was healthy, and he went out and played. So it's kind of just a moment-by-moment thing. It's very unique.
You mentioned their defense is really complicated. What makes it so complicated compared to the other defenses you've seen?
And there's been some that are complicated like it. I think they combine their they have this 3-3, 3-2 dime defense, and last year they played a lot of just cover 2 and made people run the ball and rallied up and tackled it. Now they're pressuring, and so they're all out there and they move around and can't really see what they're in. So some defenses you play, okay, they're playing man-to-man, they're playing zone, they're blitzing. These guys just do a great job of disguising, but they're able to do it because of the way their players play. They get off blocks and they're able to survive inside in the run game by playing with 4 or 5 guys, playing a lot less guys than most people would. And it's because their D-line is so talented and their players, they run to the ball as well as anybody. I think that you can see, Coach Heacock, their defensive coordinator, has done a really nice job.
Can I go back to Kent Johnston for just a second? That return to play specialist thing. Is that something that y'all have seen other teams do, and what exactly all does he do to get them back on the field?
Yeah, so I met with Coach John. I didn't really know him, but I met with him as we were talking, just in a normal parent type interaction, and it was pretty clear right away we wanted to see after last season, hey, could we get him involved with us? Because he just brings so much knowledge and so much experience. And he's such a wonderful man. And so my old strength coach in college, there were 2 of them, was a guy named John Thomas, who I love, and one of the meanest coaches I ever played for, but I love him, and mean in a good way. And Jeremy Scott was the assistant. So Jeremy's our strength coach here, and he was talking about how John Thomas is now at the University of Miami. He's helping injured players as they return to play. And so we talked to Kent, and he's done being a strength coach. He really wanted to move more into the medical side, so he provides us with players. A lot of times things happen, injuries happen in football, not from playing football, but from imbalances, right? Like this leg's dominant or this, and so he does a lot of things to do prehab to keep guys from getting injured. He brought a lot of things for a whole team. But as we do all these tests with guys, you'll say, hey, he's got some hip imbalances, he's got this. We do all this functional movement. He then puts up a plan to correct that so you can avoid injuries, or that when you come back from injury and you're out of the rehab phase, you don't slack. And so he does a magnificent job. And a lot of guys have, in my opinion, have come back quicker as a result. We've been able to keep a lot of guys on the field as a result of their work with Kent.
Coach, David Sills obviously had a big game against you guys a couple weeks ago. Now you got Akeem Butler, who's taller but still a big guy. Do you look at what you did against Sills, what you could have done better schematically, or just better plays, or how do you approach that?
Yeah, we went back after the West Virginia game and we watched everything that we did, and I thought we made a lot of corrections because we knew going in last week, Wallace, right, number 2, Wallace, yeah, well, Wallace, he was leading the country in contested catches, and so we were, when we played bump and run, and I thought Phil did a masterful job, and really Francis Brown, I told him it was the best game Francis has ever coached. As the game went on, we got more aggressive in coverage, and we started playing bump and run. But we went back and really, I thought, got back to some fundamentals. We're not getting run by; we're getting beat down the field at the point of, attack. And even got a couple pass interferences on Saturday. I much prefer those than touchdowns. So I think our secondary, we just went back and didn't change anything necessarily, but we got back to some base fundamentals of stepping and replacing and trying to stay in front of somebody, and we just try to stay a little higher on the routes. and that really helped us. I thought we moved around better. So we made a lot of corrections, I think, coming out of that last game, and the depth of our safeties and just a bunch of stuff. So that being said, I mean, Butler's a dominant player, and so really as we're sitting up there right now, we're worked all day yesterday, working today, and you can't just take him away. They have Matt Eaton on the other side, who Matt played for us at Temple, and so we know the type of player that he is before transferring to junior college and going to Iowa State. And all their receivers, they're like at 31 catches, 30 catches, 20. They've spread it around. Just Butler's averaging 23 and a half, 24 yards per catch. So it's the daggers that he put one on us last year right before the half. But if you try to play pass coverage, then they have one of the best running backs in the country, and they've got a tremendous quarterback as well. So it'll be putting all those things together, I think. But yeah, we really took to heart. We didn't just say, well, the kids didn't show up to play against West Virginia. We don't ever say that. We say, what did we do? What did we do wrong? So we went back and watched a ton of things we had done earlier in the year, and if there's lots of guys that I thought did a lot of great things in the game. So it's always I hate to keep going back to it, but Derek Thomas, had played really well against Texas and then gave up a big play on a touchdown, and they played really well against West Virginia and gave up a big play on a touchdown. And as I met with him, I just reminded him, that's part of playing corner. You give up you got out of your gap on the D line, the ball goes for 8 yards. You're a step behind at corner, and it's a touchdown. And he was playing in the game. He started to cramp up. He's been battling things all year. Kalen, Raleigh, Jamison, they all went out there and played. But that last drive, I looked at him. I said, I'll never ask you to play hurt. So if you can't go, don't go. But if it's just cramps and you can go, he said, Coach, I'm going. And he played his best football on that last drive. So I think, just all of us tried to improve after West Virginia, looked at how we were doing things and tried to, get back to being really fundamentally sound and not just letting you play DB. If you let bad habits creep in, it results in touchdowns. I thought everyone got back to that, and they improved a lot.
Now, with the Give Light campaign that was introduced last week, the operations building, what does that mean in terms of continuing to build this program?
Well, I think the first thing I'll say, Julie and I went to the introductory, the celebration for the Give Light, campaign, and 1.1 billion. The number blows me away, and they already have 541 million raised. I thought was really cool. I didn't know that till I was there. But I think this is a beautiful campus, and whether it's the Welcome Center or the Tidwell building, or all those things, the Honors College, I think everything that we do to continue to improve as an overall university, to become a Tier 1 research university, to attract the top professors, just makes us better, because I don't just worry about football. I want us to be part of something excellent. And so I think the whole campaign is awesome. For us, number one, I'm excited about a new basketball field house. I'm excited to just increase our home court advantage and increase our recruiting. I mean, if you imagine if you give Coach Mulkey and Coach Drew what they're going to do. I mean, come on. So I'm fired up about that. And then, but for us, I'm really excited, to have a football operations building. And I think the first thing I'll say about it is it's going to open up so many more opportunities for all of our other student athletes. We use one weight room. So, like, if we're in there, then that means track has to lift at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It means women's volleyball is lifting at 8 o'clock at night. Or it means and at the end of the day, all of our sports are important. So to have a football operations center to get us out of this building where we can have, locker rooms and meeting rooms and nutrition and weight room and training facilities, I think that helps our student athletes as they develop their welfare. And at the same time, it opens up locker room facilities and, like volleyball now, they over there, then they come over here to lift. Now you can open up this entire building for the rest of our student athletes. So I think it's just such a win-win, and it's going to be a game changer for us in recruiting. And, so I certainly am grateful to Dr. Livingstone and Mac for their commitment towards, the future. We have the most beautiful football stadium. We've got beautiful facilities. And if we continue to add to them, I think we'll continue to build the program, not just our program, but the entire athletic department. I don't pay a lot of attention to Twitter. After the game, I try not to watch Twitter. But I was so touched. I don't know if you saw the volleyball team celebrating in there. That's what's really cool about this place. All the athletes support each other, and so I think this will just be a win-win for the entire athletic department, but also really the entire university.
Matt, you've managed to keep your Northeast recruiting pipeline going. How different is it recruiting those guys here as opposed to guys who live in Texas? Well,
I think, anytime you ask someone to leave their family and friends behind, number one, they have to trust you. They have to believe in what you're doing. You know, those guys that, you know, whether it's been Harrison or Lovett or Rob or John Carlo, I mean, they've had a lot of other options too. They could have stayed and played in the Northeast or gone to the South or the SEC or played wherever. But, you know, for them to want to come here, I think it speaks a lot. A lot of that speaks to their relationship with Francis Brown. He's one of the best recruiters, you know, not because he's a recruiter, but because he's real. And, you know, so it's fun for us to, you know, go get, you know, 3, 4, 5 guys a year. I think we lead most schools in terms of taking guys from Texas. And that's really how we want to build it. But if we have connections, you know, whether it's back up north or a guy in Florida, here and there, we also want to add those guys in. And I think it's such a wonderful university and a wonderful place. And, you know, you get to pick where you want to live for the rest of your life afterwards. But if you're a guy like me that grew up in New York City, you know, go spend 4 or 5 years in college, you know, at Baylor. You know, go to Texas, you know, go try something new and then see where life takes you.
I want to ask you a little bit more about Lovett. Obviously had a great game. What do you like about him and what he brings to the team?
Well, he's a single digit because he's tough. You know, he's been battling, nagging little injuries, and I think he's fought through them. He'll do whatever is asked. He'd play defense for us if we asked him. He'll play special teams. I think the biggest thing in that game the other day was that he made the first guy miss. You know, I always look at running backs. If plays are blocked for 6 yards, you know, if you get 6 yards, you're a good back. You get 8 yards, you're a great back. The guys who take it for 80 are the ones that are elite. And I thought on Saturday he made the first guy miss. And that, to me, was a game changer for us. And so, but I think when you talk about John Lovett, I always start with his work ethic and his toughness. He's everything that, you know, we represent.
Matt, 9 games deep into the season, you've used like 14 different running backs, 15 different guys have caught a football, none of them averaging over 100 yards per game, 5 different guys have thrown a pass. Can that be used as a recruiting tool that you are building a football team here as opposed to necessarily individuals?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. You know, and I think when we send things out to recruits, we let them know, and we just try to have a system, and the ball goes where it should go. But at the same time, we've tried to, especially with our young players, we try to work them in slowly. But I think we all saw, like on Saturday, what Josh Fleeks can do when he has the ball in his hands, and some other guys. So continuing to utilize all of our players. All of our players work so hard, and if we can get them out there for a couple plays, put the ball in their hands, I think that helps. And I think our commitment to playing young players, I think that's been important in recruiting as well. People see, you know, hey, if you go to Baylor, and everyone wants to carry the ball 30 times, you know, and be a, you know, but sometimes that's not always great for your career after here. So, you know, we've always liked having, you know, when you get it kind of all situated, love to have a back who carries it 17, 18 times, another one who carries it about 10, and one who carry, you know, Ebner doesn't get to carry it a ton, but he gets an explosive play every time we hand him the ball. So they're all growing, and I think we'll wake up in a couple of years and a lot of these sophomores will be seniors, and they'll be you know, have a lot of experience, but they'll also be pretty healthy and hopefully have a pretty dynamic team.
All right, thank you, Coach.